Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fan Behavior. I'm Zoe. I'm here with Hannah.
Hi, everyone.
Hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Happy December.
Happy December. We were just talking offline about the Wicked movie, which I feel like has just taken the world by storm. It's really all anyone's been able to talk about.
Yeah, and honestly, just thank God, at least in our opinion, it lives up to the hype.
Oh, yeah. So good. Honestly, the songs have been stuck in my head.
Yeah.
All week long.
I cried most of them.
You know what's so funny is I actually didn't cry.
Really?
And I really thought I would cry because friendship movies, I feel like, are the most, they get me the most.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I didn't shed a tear, which I was sort of surprised because I had heard so much about people being like, I cried.
Yeah. I will say I cry, or maybe not like shed tears, but I well up every time I hear The Wizard and I know For Good isn't in this movie, and then Defying Gravity. I like even when I listen to like the Glee versions, I get emotional, which so I think part of it is
part of the Glee version.
No. Specifically Leah Michele, which I did see in a video where someone was talking about who they were looking at casting or who auditioned. Yeah. He called her Leah Mitchell, and I just know she'd hate that, and I got a chuckle.
Episode, it's obviously not about the movie Wicked, and we have so much to get into about this race weekend because the race itself was absolutely insanity, and there's just so much to get into. The one thing I do have to say, and this might be triggering for you, might be triggering for other people.
Thank you for the warning.
I am so glad Harry Styles was not cast.
Me
as
too.
Figaro. So glad.
No, same.
Like, and not even speaking about Jonathan Bailey.
It wouldn't have been correct.
It wouldn't have been correct, and yeah, they picked the right people for the job.
Yeah, and I actually said I was getting my hair done, and I was talking to the guy who does my hair because he had also seen it, and I said this is maybe like the worst thing to say, but I have never been so grateful that Jonathan Bailey doesn't like women because
it's too
in my delusional world, it's like, well, thank God that's not an option.
Right. I actually saw
as
a
if
lot of
that's the only thing preventing him from ever being interested in me.
I've seen a lot of TikToks about that. People being like, actually people saying the opposite, that like it actually doesn't matter to them because you can be delusional, because even if he did like women, it doesn't matter anyway.
Sure. I think it's the heartbreak part of it's just like, well, it doesn't matter that we'll never meet and he'll never know me because even if we did, we could only ever be friends.
Totally.
So thank God for that. Because, nothing crushed me quite like Travis. And I just can't go through that again.
Of course. So. Of course not. Anyway,
Wicked tangent.
So yeah, if you haven't seen Wicked, go and see it. It's great. And it's a lot of fun. And, that could be a fun, potential video or segment where we decide which F1 driver is Elphaba and which F1 driver is Glinda.
Oh, and other characters. I think that could be fun. Maybe one of our pre-break episodes.
But I feel like that's so defined.
Defying
gravity. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to the race week, all the good stuff. I mean, I know there's always craziness happening prior to a race week, and I feel like the biggest thing we didn't talk about last week was the news that Cadillac General Motors are coming in 2026. This is sort of a sneaky way of getting Andretti involved.
Hilarious.
Which is good because that was a whole saga that took forever, and I'm glad we're getting another team. A lot of rumors about Colton Herta.
He's coming in.
And I think, I'll be curious to see if that actually ends up happening.
I mean, can he not, certainly he can get a super license by then.
Yes. I think that's not the issue. I just think it's more of like, is he the right man for the job?
Sure.
I think it's probably, I would imagine it would be someone like a Colton Herta and then like a veteran who's sort of, who that will be. Obviously, we have a year to figure that out. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of movement next season or chaos, whatever. So we'll have to wait and see how that shakes out. But yeah, 2 more seats, American team. I think it's good.
I think it's good too.
I think it's good.
I'm excited.
Okay, should we just get to the race weekend because
probably
obviously there's just so much to get into.
Yeah. Today was so insane. I kind of forgot it was a sprint weekend until I just looked down at my notes.
I know. And we can go through these pretty quickly because honestly, it's not like it's like talking about a sprint qualifying. It's like, who gives a crap?
Right. Yeah. And honestly, the most of the craziness happened
during the race. So it's just like, it doesn't really
with a minor hint
matter.
Of crazy during the sprint.
Sprint quali, I think the biggest Lando got pole, which was good for him, I suppose. Sure. And Checo got out in Q1. I feel like those were like the 2 main talking points. Oh, and Valtteri got into Q2, which at the time everyone was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But obviously That wasn't a fluke.
No,
as we will
certainly wasn't.
Find out. Anything else from the sprint quality?
Well, I wrote down, I love the quotes, and so at some point Yuki got all frustrated. He didn't understand why they were rushing quali.
Oh, yes.
And his engineer was like, "Yeah, I hear you. He goes, "Yeah, you don't hear me, man." I really liked that.
That's funny. I also, this is skipping ahead today, but it made me laugh when he said mate and bro in
I
the
wrote that
same
down too.
sentence.
Yeah. It's like, wow, you are really...
He's morphing all the different
and he's just so new to English that he's really picking it up in the garage.
Yes, because I'm like, who's saying... I mean, mate makes sense.
Sure.
Obviously, you're around a lot of British people. But the bro, I feel like, is inherently American.
Sure.
So I'm like, who's saying bro a lot around him?
Kind of feels like something Daniel would have said a lot.
Maybe.
Does Pierre say bro?
I don't know. I don't know. I just thought that was funny.
Let us know if you know.
Any other quotes?
Not yet.
Okay, good. Okay, let's just get to the sprint race.
Okay. I had no notes from 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Boring.
It was fine, but compared to the rest of the weekend, it's just like, who cares? Let's just move on.
It barely happened.
So I feel like the main talking points was obviously Oscar was struggling. So Lando keeps his lead, which I didn't think he would necessarily keep the pole position lead at the start.
Well, that was another thing. I don't remember where he has literally only kept it once.
Really?
Yeah, so they said that during the commentary.
Oh,
now,
okay.
and I have not fact checked. So
well, yeah,
whatever.
You're just going off what they say.
Crofty told me that he's only kept it once, and it just made me laugh because of the interview with Gunther, where he was like trying to defend himself, like, no, it's only happened a few times. It's like, no, it's actually only happened once that you kept it.
Right.
So I was not expecting that either.
But George lost because George was in second, I believe, and he lost second to Oscar. But then Oscar was struggling he was struggling the whole race basically to not get passed by George, and George just kept trying.
Yeah,
literally every lap, the same exact plates on the track, trying to pass, no dice.
Right. It's like you'd think you'd switch up your play.
Liam lost like 6 positions at the start. I was flabbergasted.
I know.
I was like, wait, how did that happen? He was like in 10th, I think, and then he was down in 16th. I was like, damn. And then Max also lost a bunch of positions,
like 9, or he dropped back to 9th. I'm sorry, 3 places,
and couldn't even pass. He got past, I can't remember somebody, but then he couldn't pass Nico
the
whole sprint. I'm like, what is going on with this Red Bull? It was absolutely atrocious. And then why did they have Joe on softs during the sprint? I don't even understand the logic behind it.
Especially my thought is that because they didn't have as much practice and the track, like they were trying to figure out tires and stuff, that they basically used him as a test strategy. Okay. Like it was a testing to see how to do it for the race. That actually
makes sense because because they suggested on the broadcast, they were like, well, he's on soft so he can try to make up positions at the start. I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't matter if you make up positions. You're going to then lose all of them if you have to do a pit stop and
no one
change
else is
your
going
tires.
To. Yeah.
Like,
I just assumed it was like, hey, we've got 0 points.
That's what they did with Checo. Like once Checo was out, or was in the back in the sprint, they basically were like, you're just going to be a test monkey for this experience, and we're just going to try a bunch of things. I mean, it kind of makes sense if you qualify out of position in a sprint race, like it kind of makes sense.
Get overtaken in
the
pit lane start.
Yeah. I did hear him say that he needed like clean air to like test the things, which maybe is true. I don't actually know if that's true, but that was,
I'm sure. We all know clean air is better than dirty air.
But he was definitely used as like he was chosen to test some things out, which ended up actually working very well for them because they obviously did well in the race and everything. Because there was a big change up from Max's performance in the sprint race to Max's performance in the race. Like, night and difference.
Well, and like with Joe too. Like obviously they got the data that they wanted because
very, very, very true.
The foreshadowing there.
The Charles Lewis
wheel to
wheel action, beautiful,
gorgeous. I loved that. Listening to Jensen this weekend was really fun because he was just like, I don't know. I love him, and I feel closer to him now. I do miss Marty, but he was just like, that was beautiful.
It
was stunning.
It was great. Respect on both sides. Just like that's how you race, and it's very clear. Not to name specific names, but like certain drivers just are not capable of racing that way.
You can decide for yourself.
So you can fill in the blank. So when you see people that actually can race wheel to wheel and do it cleanly and whatever. It's very, very nice. I actually said that the sprint was kind of bad.
Yeah, it was kind of boring.
It was kind of boring. And listen, we did this thing every time there's a bad sprint race. We're like, do we need this? And again, like, I don't know. We all have our own opinions. Yes. Is it more interesting than an FP3? Of course it is. But like, is it worthy of a... I don't know.
Totally.
Everyone has their own opinion. Some sprints are good. I do feel like, and obviously this would require like more tires. I do kind of feel like maybe you should have a mandatory pit stop.
Yeah, I agree with you. We've talked about that.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Lando switching spots with Oscar right at the very end. You know, that was good.
I get the feeling that Zach didn't know that was going to happen.
Oh, really?
Was it?
Oh, I think he knew.
Okay.
I mean, he's definitely locked in, and
yeah, I know.
And I'm sure it was said prior to the race. I mean,
Okay.
I think it was definitely they talked about it prior, like, hey, if Oscar's in second at the end of the race, swap so that he can win. And because at first I was like, wait, why do they just do that? And then I remembered the Brazil experience, and
I think it's good. It's good for morale.
It's good for morale
and just trust building.
Yes,
because they were starting to talk about like next year, if the two of them are competing for the World Drivers' Championship,
yeah,
you need to be able to know that like they're gonna do what they say they're gonna do.
Right, yeah. And this whole like season, like the last few races, have made me just like very, very excited for next season, because I just feel like it's gonna be so tense and so many drivers competing for the championship. Knock on wood, hopefully. Yeah, it makes me very excited. Anything else from the sprint?
Yes. Quotes. So Crofty said, I think Carlos passed someone, and Crofty said Carlos Sainz goes goody. And now I don't know if he like was trying to make a joke about the hoodie.
Oh.
But I was laughing a lot. And if he was, job well done. If he wasn't, he's even more. I
bet you he has no idea
he
about
might.
the hoodie.
I mean, I feel like they're all a little bit more dialed in than they would.
I know, but
I know it's pretty niche.
It's pretty niche.
But the way he said it, he never says good. He always says thank you very much.
I think it's maybe just a joking about like the way that Carlos says words. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's the double O.
Yeah. Yoke.
That's also very niche.
I mean, so niche. A guy was able to interview him on a red carpet because of a video. This place is crazy.
That's hilarious.
That was it. That was the only quote from that.
So funny. Okay, let's get to quali. So we've got Valtteri and Zhou in Q2. I was like, come on, get into Q3. You can do it. Didn't end up happening, but you know what? They did a good job, and I'm proud of them because they've had the season from hell.
God, they really have.
I mean, it has just been miserable weekend after miserable weekend, and I was just happy that they at least got close to Q3. And it was like, what was the difference? It was like thousandths of a second.
Yeah, so they ended up 12th and 14th, but Bottas was, Gasly was 6:02, Mag was 6:50, and Bottas was 6:86.
Yeah, so very, very close. I actually was also confused as to why. I feel like when Yuki was going through, it wasn't. It like his things were all yellow, and then he went through. Like he still managed to get through into Q. Did he get into Q3? No, into Q2. But it didn't seem like. What I'm trying to say is, it didn't seem like he was actually improving at all. But then he still managed to get through.
Yeah. I was surprised he got through.
Yeah,
but happy for him.
But okay, I also laughed when Liam was like, thought he was beefing with Fernando.
Yeah, I took a screenshot of the comments.
And then Pierre, his engineer, was like, it was Stroll. Like, he is really trying to create this
drama
beef with Fernando
and
in his brain. And
why do you want him as an enemy?
I think, I was thinking about this actually, because there's some other athletes who, like Michael Jordan is like this, and some other people who they manufacture these rivalries. They like create these narratives in their mind to like give them more juice and more adrenaline to like actually. And I'm not saying that's what he's doing, but I do think sometimes athletes they actually like to have the like beef or the rivalry because they feel like it makes them a better driver. And it gives them more adrenaline or whatever. But I just
I mean, if anyone can handle it, it's Fernando.
It was Stroll. It was just very funny. I feel like there's been a couple times Liam's engineer has kind of like been sort of not maybe short with him as kind of like.
Yeah. Well, it's also quite a departure from Daniel.
Yeah, that's very true.
Who's just like quiet and Oscar like and just very like, sorry, man, or
it's not.
Or can you check on that?
It's not like creating narratives.
Right.
Yeah, I would never even. That would never even happen.
No. So he has to learn a new management style.
Yeah. Though he did have Pierre before Daniel.
Fair.
Or and Pierre's
that's
a little
true.
bit more aggressive.
That was true.
Christian saying yabba dabba do. I was like, no. It's only funny when drivers do it. Drivers are allowed, in my opinion, to
make fun of other drivers,
or not just to like kind of poke fun and to say things. I have
like when Lando said "Simply Lovely."
Yeah, I have zero problem with that. I think it's funny.
Yeah, Zach saying "Simply Lovely" would have been an eye roll.
And it's just like it's not your place to say that.
Yeah.
Like, shut up.
Also, like, it's not the right time, Christian. Read the room.
Yeah. And I know everyone has their own opinions about whether or not drivers should use other drivers' catchphrases, and everyone's entitled to their own thoughts and feelings about it. Again, I don't have any problem with drivers having a little bit of fun.
No, because you also like they're peers.
Yes.
So there's a world in which they're also just like digging at each other in person about it.
Exactly.
I mean, George got hell for Yabba Dabba Doo. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
But it's not Christian's place. I didn't like it.
I don't like it either. I didn't like it either.
So please don't do that again.
Please don't do that again.
You can quote Toto or Fred. Oh my God, why'd I call him Frank? Who's Frank?
Actually, just don't quote anybody. Just like say congratulations.
I understand, but like if you feel so compelled to do so, make it one of your peers.
Yeah, exactly. And then we find out after qualifying that Max actually got a 1-place grid penalty and a penalty point for driving unnecessarily slow on a cool down lap, which a lot of people have a lot of feelings about, that it wasn't fair, wasn't warranted. Will we see this penalty again in the future? If this happens again, will they actually give someone else a penalty for this or not? We'll have to wait and see, but that meant that Max was going to start the race in P2 rather than P1.
Whatever.
Didn't really matter.
And also, I get all the frustration about that. There's going to be a lot of questions after this like weekend, I feel like, about all the calls that were made.
Oh, for sure.
So
for sure.
That is certainly a low priority one on the list, I would imagine.
Yes, exactly. Anything else from qualifying? Any other quotes or moments?
Well, Pato was funny when he goes, "Oh," when he realized he was on camera, even though he knew the camera was right there.
It's like you got to prepare.
Like he's just also he's a bit performer as well.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing it for the people, and they loved it. I just know they did. And then I just. Because it wouldn't be me if I didn't bring this up, but like, what's going on with Toto's hair with the headphones? Why is it always standing up like a cockatoo right now?
I don't know.
Like, it's fine. Who cares? But also it's just like so consistent.
Yeah.
And I know he sees himself when he's on TV. And anyway, he might need some new pomade or something.
Yeah, exactly. Or like a haircut or something. I don't know.
Also, even though he lost it, I was surprised that was Max's first pole since Austria.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, yeah, because he got a sprint pole in Austin. I remembered that, but first pole for a, and I guess he technically also got pole position in Spa, but he had that grid penalty.
Right.
So
I guess he still hasn't had a first pole.
Yeah,
since
exactly.
Austria.
Anyway. Okay, let's get to the race.
Sure.
So it starts, obviously, lights go out, away we go. We get immediate yellow flag. And I actually said, I was like, please don't be I actually think I said, please don't be Alex, but in my heart, I was like, please don't be a Williams.
I know.
Like, oh, and then they're like, Franco. And I was like, no.
At least it wasn't his fault.
At least it wasn't his fault. Yes, you're right. But I also feel like it's imperative for him to show his ability, and he hasn't been able to show his ability literally this whole, like the last handful of weeks. It's just been... Big bummer. Esteban. Well, it was sort of a Nico kind of ran into Esteban, who then ran into Franco. Turn 1 incident. No one got penalized for it, but bummer. And also, we'll get to Esteban, but like, if this is the end for him this season, tough way to go out. What, you have thoughts?
Yeah, we can get to it when we get there though.
Okay. Then we have an immediate safety car. Then we have a Lance and Alex Albon incident. Did Lance get a penalty for that? You guys have to forgive us. We were recording this about an hour after the race ended, and also there were so many penalties.
Yes, he got a 10-second time penalty.
That I probably can't keep it all straight.
I tried to go back and make notes when the incident happened if there was a penalty given. So
so Lance gets a penalty. Alex knew immediately. He was like,
I knew he was going to do it. I could tell.
I could tell.
And Joe said, "Mate, this accident, what the fuck?"
Oh. So that was tough for Alex. Thankfully, he didn't have any, catastrophic damage to that. Then we had the Liam Valtteri situation. I think that was the safety car restart, I believe.
Yes.
And Liam gets a 10-second penalty for that. And this is what we said.
I also thought they said Yuki at first, and I was like, no, it wasn't.
Thank God. Even though we'll get to him, but this is kind of what we said before about Liam and other people, like the new up and coming people coming into Formula One. Like, they are fast and they have their moments, but they can also be a little bit reckless.
Yeah.
And just they're figuring it out and they just don't quite know, and they're going to make some mistakes like this. Now, luckily for Liam, really anyone that got penalties in like the first part of the race, it really didn't end up mattering because there were so many safety cars that you just got bunched right back up again. That like it negated the penalty in a lot of ways. So in a way, it was like, yes, there were lots of penalties, but they actually didn't end up really costing you unless you got one at the very end, which we'll get to. Lewis gets a false start penalty.
Yep.
He knew it right away.
Yeah.
But that was a tough one for him. And then Yuki is just like tumbling down the order. It's like Pierre's passing him. I can't remember who else was behind him, but he got passed by like 4 different cars. I was like, what is going on with this? The V-Carb was bad this weekend. I actually saw that every team got into the points this weekend except for V-Carb.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which, and there was how many people DNF'd? Like 5 DNFs plus like really aggressive penalties for lots of people at the very end, and they still didn't get in the points. I don't know what's going on there, but they have just been tumbling down the constructors' standings.
Yep.
George's terrible pit stop. I was like, damn.
Yeah, that sucked. What was it, like 9 seconds?
9 seconds, something like that. Or maybe it was 7 seconds. I don't know. Regardless, it was bad.
He lost 3 places.
Yeah, not good. Stuck behind. There's nothing that Fernando likes more than when he gets to like hold somebody up and keep them from, getting back to their original spot. He's like, oh, George is out of position. Well, I'm gonna make his life a little hard for him, like just for fun, Which he was pissed too.
Yeah,
he was like, the speed on the straights the last two years.
Where did he say 2 years with the same fucking problem on straights? Yeah,
not thrilled.
They also shortened the DRS zone by I think 170 meters.
Yeah, which is why.
Yeah.
Which is why. Also, Qatar, it was a good race because of the chaos, but not a lot of places where you can overtake. You can basically overtake on that one straight.
Right.
That's it.
Which they've shortened.
Yeah, so that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Okay, should we just get to the mirror?
Please.
Okay. So all of a sudden there's this mirror that flies off. Now I
still don't even understand
sure how.
Yeah, I honestly I feel like, do we know whose car it came off of?
It seemed like it was Alex's car.
So I wonder if it happened when he had one of his incidents, like it got loose, and then from the speed and stuff, it fell off.
That's a good call. Yeah, because I wasn't sure.
Because at the time that it flew off, it just flew off. There wasn't any contact.
Yes, exactly. And so it's just sitting there on the straight. Now it's not on the racing line, but as they said in the broadcast, if anyone's trying to make a move, they will run into this mirror.
I was fuming.
And it's just lap after lap, the mirror's there. Now they do a double waved yellow so that they all have to slow down on that straight, but they are not doing anything to actually get the mirror off of the track or potentially. Now, I think the whole thing was they didn't want to bring out a virtual safety car. But they also everyone was too spaced out to the point where they weren't able to actually run a marshal onto the track to get the mirror off. So what are you going to do? Have 20 laps to just double wave? And that's the only place they can pass on the straight.
Yeah, so and I get that they're like in between, like it's a rock and a hard place because by doing that, you're going to give advantage to someone, and that's frustrating. And you're going to get flack for that by the teams, and they're going to try and, but also, the other risk is exactly what happens.
What happens, or also like ruining the last 20 laps of the race. I would rather you do a virtual safety car because it will end quickly. They can get that mirror out if they're fast. It could be like for a lap. Know, people are gonna have their pit stop advantages, whatever. But that's how it goes in Formula One.
Yeah,
And then you can continue on with the race and have like 20 laps of good racing. I don't understand. I would love to know what their logic was, what they wanted to have happen. Were they just, I don't really even know. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Then you have Lewis and Carlos. So then actually, no, Valtteri runs over the mirror.
Right. Which
it just goes everywhere. I'm surprised he didn't have any damage.
I know.
But debris is now
I have
flying.
Little, the
bits,
carbon fiber that's around the mirror, I'm assuming. And then glass. Yeah. So, it's like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
Good move.
Then you have Lewis and Carlos who both get punctures. Immediately get punctures from it.
And there's now more debris on the track everywhere, scattered instead of this one completed mirror that you could lift with one hand and run away.
So then, of course, that really ruined Lewis's race. He was already having a really hard race, but that really screwed him over. And Carlos, definitely, he probably could have maybe gotten a podium. Definitely, I think he got sixth. I think he definitely could have done, fourth at the very least. Mm-hmm. That was rough. That was really, really, really rough. Then you have what you didn't want to have in the first place, which is a safety car, and it's a lot longer than you probably than it would have been initially, because you got to clear this debris. And then there was just chaos after the first safety car. Checo, something went wrong with his car, hydraulics or something.
Yeah.
And so he just starts tumbling down the order. Then Nico, I don't even know what happened to Nico, but he goes off.
I think he just lost the back end or something. I don't think it was a collision. No.
He goes off. I'm just like, what is happening?
I know.
So then you have another safety car.
Yeah. And George is fuming because he is on hards again.
Yeah. George is pissed. I did feel really bad for Checo because he was in a really good position. He pitted at the right time. Everything was kind of going his way.
Yeah.
He was in his best position that he has been in a long time, and to no fault of his own, or
the car shuts
off. It's just oh my God, when it rains, it freaking pours. Nico, basically everybody had a bad race. I feel like there's so many people that you could point to and be like, well, they had this happened to them. This person had, it just was tough all around.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Then we find out that Lando during this. Well, before the shattered
Valtteri
mirror runs over the mirror, they have the double wave yellows and you have to slow down. And Max notices that Lando did not do that, at least initially, probably on the very first lap. So it goes to the stewards, but then we find out that not only is it a penalty, but it is a 10-second stop and go penalty. Now, for those, we did get some questions, and we'll get to the questions later, but some people were not sure what that actually means. So typically in a race, especially by the end of a race, when people have already have done their pit stops, if they do a 10-second penalty or a 5-second penalty, it just gets tacked on to the back end of their race result.
Yeah. So you can try to make the gap from the person behind you enough so that the penalty doesn't affect you.
Yeah, or it affects you less than, it would. But for a stop and go penalty, that requires you to go back into the pit stop to stop for 10 seconds and then go back out. So in reality, it actually cost him 30 plus seconds because it takes about 20 something seconds to go through a pit stop. But he didn't need to go through a pit stop. So it was an extremely harsh penalty.
Yeah.
He deserved a penalty.
100%.
100% deserved a penalty.
That's ludicrous.
But that was really, really harsh, and they will say it's for safety reasons, but the reality is, I know
you weren't safe.
I know the FIA and the
don't
FIA,
penalize Lando because you guys didn't do your job.
The stewards this weekend, the FIA. It's all a lot of. It's ridiculous.
It's tough. It's a job I would never want.
But that was, to me, I felt like a 10-second, just a 10-second penalty would be pretty harsh.
Yeah.
I thought he deserved maybe a 5-second penalty.
Sure.
Now, what are the rules and regulations? Because that's the thing. They could point to the regulations and say, actually, it says here, but we also know that everything's up to the stewards' discretion. They are allowed to kind of do whatever they want.
I know, which drives me nuts because, I know I'm cutting ahead a little bit, but with Lewis's penalty for speeding in the pit lane, usually that's a 5-second penalty, and now they're deciding that it's a drive-through penalty. Can we please give the same penalties for the same issues?
I know.
It's so frustrating.
And especially...
I haven't seen a stop-and-go penalty in a very long... I don't know if I've ever seen one that was given out as a stop-and-go penalty.
Yeah, I'm sure
at least not this season.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There are some things forcing a driver off the track, and these penalties where it's like, okay, you kind of have to be, you're like using your judgment to determine whether or not something is a penalty. But something like Lando, where it's like, okay, did he lift?
Yeah, there's so much data, like you can just
you
know.
can see,
yeah,
did it happen or did it not? And if it did, then you have this clear cut. Now maybe it is a 10-second stop.
Yeah, and other stewards have been
but
lenient.
It needs to be, used forevermore, and everyone needs to be, and it needs to be very clear and made very clear at the beginning, like these rules will be followed to a T. So if you break them, this is what's going to happen. But you have to be then consistent and do it every single time, and not pick and choose. And then the whole thing about different stewards at different tracks. It's like, let's get consistent stewards throughout the entire season.
Or at least like a hand, like, is there like, apologies if this is a dumb question. Is there like a head steward that's the same at each and every one?
But it's not always the same.
Well, that's dumb.
Right. So it just was a lot of just chaos. As you mentioned, Lewis gets a penalty. He wanted to retire the car.
Of course he did.
He was done.
He is so mentally drained.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for him.
He's over it. Alex got a penalty for, I'm not even sure what. I think forcing someone off the track or something at the very
Causing
end.
a collision.
Okay. I don't even know what the collision was. Was it with Kevin Magnussen?
Maybe.
I
like
don't
at
know.
the beginning of the race. And like, look, I know you guys had your work cut out for you, but this is the other thing that drives me nuts. Like, I don't know the pre-race investigation they were doing with Oscar, because he was I don't even know if that's come back yet. If a decision's come back, he might lose his podium.
Yeah, I mean, that seems,
well, yes, of course it does seem, but what,
of course it does seem,
with everything else they did this weekend, who the hell knows?
Yeah, that's very true. Who the hell knows? There's a lot.
And then they did mention that Kevin Magnussen was also going to have a time penalty, but I never got confirmation on that, so I don't know if that actually
I think
happened.
he did.
Okay, great.
I think he did.
So yeah, this was are they going to dinner at this race or next race? When do they do their family dinner?
Abu Dhabi.
It'll be good for them.
Will it?
I
Who's
don't
going
know.
to show up? There might be some people that say, you know what? I'm not going to do this team dinner situation.
Well, it's a potential goodbye to at least 3 drivers.
Yep. Very much so.
I guess at least 4.
Yeah. So it was just so much chaos at the end there. Lando was cutting through the field. He was making some moves, getting past the V-carbs, getting past Valtteri, which was a bummer. I did feel bad because I was really hoping that we would have a double stake podium.
Points.
Oh, well, points.
One day. Well, no,
But
not one day.
not
His
one
stake
day.
is over.
But Joe did get points, P8. So happy for him.
Yeah.
So thrilled. Driver of the day as well. I
Yeah.
was just like, this is the best thing that's
Yeah,
happened.
because I think my favorite part is it's not just like 1 point for he got 4 points.
4 points. That's
so
good.
That's so exciting.
That's a good points haul. That's very
and
strong.
Valtteri is beating Logan Sargent now.
Yes. Thank God. Thank
like
goodness.
Latifi driving around and
Yeah, exactly. And also wanted to give a shout out to Pierre, who had a very strong race. That was great.
yeah.
Holding
P4.
off Carlos, P5, I think.
Oh.
I think 4 was George.
You're right.
Yeah.
I just read the numbers wrong.
But still, I mean, obviously 5th is great.
But he was also noted for a safety car infringement. George.
Yes, he was.
Anything
No, he did get a penalty. It was 5 seconds.
Oh, right,
but
right. I wrote that down
fine.
in my next note. I'm sorry,
Yes.
I forgot.
There's a lot that's going on, so I think we can all. Show some grace.
I know not everyone. I know a lot of people will roll their eyes when I said this, but it really warmed my heart when Max was like, "That was such a fun race."
Yeah,
because it's nice that he's having fun again.
Yeah, I'm sure it was fun for him. How many other drivers had fun this race? I'm not so sure.
I know.
Joe and maybe Charles Leclerc.
Crazy.
That was probably it. Anything else from the race itself we wanted to touch on?
Well, I did write this down that we have now a 31-point difference between McLaren and Ferrari for the Constructors' Championship.
Yes.
McLaren is currently winning, but it's really anyone's.
I mean, I think it's probably going to be, barring a total disaster, I think it's going to be a McLaren,
I'm sure,
Constructors. But
it's just wild that Red Bull's completely out.
Well, and it's also crazy too. Like Ferrari, I feel like maybe over the summer they were the team that was consistently like 4th and 5th or 5th and 6th. Like they were just kind of nowhere really for a good chunk of the season, where it was really between McLaren and also Merc was having that time in the summer where they were winning races and doing well. And so for them to even be in the fight to win when they have had so many races where they were just kind of like not even on a podium, I think is pretty impressive. Yeah, I mean, I do wish it was a little bit closer. I wish it was like a 10-point difference or something. But, beggars can't be choosers.
Of course.
The fact that we're going into a final race with something on the line, like, we have to be grateful.
Fun. Yeah.
We have to be grateful. Okay, should we do our fan and foe first, or should we do our questions first?
Well, did you want to talk about
Esteban
and Jack?
Yes. So, it's been, reported. I'm checking right now to see if Alpine has put out anything, though obviously we know that, things can be true and not be reported by the teams quite yet. But it's been reported that this was Esteban's last race. And he, I guess in his press conference or something, or not press conference, but when he was talking to the press after the race, basically kind of was like, thanks to the engineer, kind of was saying very much
giving
like
a goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye statements. And then some journalists have reported that Jack Doohan will be replacing Esteban for the final race. Now, there's also been reporting I've seen this week that Franco to Alpine is also very much still on the cards.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like, I don't know how Franco's last few weeks or races, what that does for his chances.
Sure.
I have no idea. But a part of me wonders if this is a chance for Alpine to like.
It's not fair.
It's not. Yeah, it seems a bit unfair. Like, well, you got one race to prove yourself, Jack. So
it's like he's been proving himself for you for a long time.
Yeah, well,
I mean, not in that car, but
yeah, he's been around. He's been your reserve driver. Like, yeah.
I really hope that's not what they're doing.
Yeah, maybe who knows? But it does sound like Jack will be driving for Alpine in Abu Dhabi, which is exciting for him.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
Obviously,
he's probably shitting bricks, to be honest with you.
The Esteban stuff has been really. Obviously, he did so well in Brazil, got P2. Probably could have won that race.
Yeah.
But the last few weeks have been really weird, and there's been some like talk about, are the cars the same, and is Pierre, and I'm sure Pierre is getting preferential treatment. Like,
yeah, I'm sure that's how the sport works.
He's the one that's sticking around, so he's gonna get the upgrades first. He's gonna get all that kind of stuff, and Esteban's not. That's unfortunately how it goes. But the way that it's ended with Alpine has been pretty rough.
Mm-hmm.
I feel, for Esteban. So I'm sure he's also like, yeah, I want to go to. I'm ready to kind of move on. From this experience and move to Haas. And for Alpine, they're like, well, let's just give Jack a chance to show us what he can do. And we'll have to wait and see if that actually ends up meaning something.
Yeah, what I was going to say earlier is that I'm curious how much of it is, if it is true, how much of it is team led versus Esteban saying, I got to go.
I would guess it's team led. That's my
it's going to really screw up Secret Santa.
I'm sure he's still included in the Secret Santa. It's probably.
Do they film it here?
I think
and then show it.
And I'm sure Esteban will still be at the track. My guess is he'll still be there.
Why would he still be there?
I feel like he'll still be there.
But why?
Because he's still part of the team. I think it's going to be kind of like, I feel like they're treating it as if he was sick, and someone's filling in for a race. That's just my prediction. I don't know.
How bizarre.
Obviously, I mean, I don't know that as...
What's the new team principal's name at Alpine? He's not new. I mean, not the newest, but what's his name?
Oh, I'm not sure. The Alpine. It's like something...
is it Oliver or something?
Yeah, Oliver Wood maybe or something. Or no, is that might be the name of a character in Harry Potter. I kept wanting to call
Jamie Oliver, who is not...
It's Oliver something. I think you are right about that. Oliver Oakes.
Oakes, okay.
Oliver Wood is a character in Harry Potter.
Oak is Wood, so you were close.
I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
It will devastate me to no end if he takes this away from Jack.
Oh. No, yeah, but again, it's the bittersweet thing because Franco.
I know.
Franco.
I know.
Love that guy.
And Jack could always come back in with Cadillac if something happens. Doesn't his dad work for Cadillac, or did I make that up?
No.
Did Macy tell us that?
No, I think she meant the other Jack.
She'll love that. Hi, Mace.
Jack won't be getting into Cadillac. That's not happening.
No, I know.
This is his one and only.
Chance. Well, now I understand.
I do wonder though. Part of me is like, the up and down nature of these rookies. Like, even Liam the last few weeks has been very average, I would say.
Yeah, well,
which is
and
fine.
non-rookies are all going up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just the way it goes.
It's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Yes.
And
yes.
yeah, I mean,
yes.
we are not innocent of this, but it's like you focus on the one race, and if someone did a bad job, that's all you could talk about. And when they did great, it's all you could talk about.
Yeah.
And
we swing back and forth very, very,
the pendulum
very easily. Yes, and it's not fair.
Back and forth all the time, and
yeah, it's and we're all, as we say, we all have our own biases, and we're very quick to make. Yeah, not Hannah. She's not biased at all.
No.
We're very quick to make excuses for drivers that we like, and then be like, oh my god, out
of here,
terrible.
Yeah,
to ones we don't root for, and it's just not fair.
No, but
that's
just how life works.
How it is, and we try to do our best to check ourselves. I do feel like we need to give more credit to Max. I mean, I know you mentioned it, but he did win the race, and I feel like we spent the whole time talking about all the chaos that went on, which is fair because it was very chaotic.
Yeah, I mean, he did a great job, and he was consistently doing a good job.
Yes,
so he doesn't really have.
He did a great job, and happy for him. And yeah, glad everything went well there. Okay, let's just get to our questions.
Sure.
Okay, is Gasly the most underrated driver on the grid right now?
No.
Who do you think is?
Yuki.
I don't think. Part of me with Yuki this week especially is like, I don't know, the car was just so bad that I feel like but his performance wasn't.
I'm talking in
comprehensively,
like full picture. Like when we've had several conversations about the fact that like Red Bull's never going to give Yuki a chance, and they should. That's kind of where I'm coming from with that.
I do think Pierre is one of the most underrated drivers on the grid, and I actually was thinking about this honestly after Vegas, his qualifying performance in Vegas. Like, I do wonder if Red Bull regrets the way that, I mean, I'm sure they do regret the way they handled the Pierre thing and the Alex situation, but Pierre is looking like a really solid driver right now, especially in an Alpine car that was so bad.
Yeah.
Remember how terrible it was? Like,
it's been really upsetting.
Yeah, and so he's done really, really well. I think Nico is very underrated.
Agreed.
At least comprehensively over the course of the season.
I do have to say, it seems that, I know obviously they didn't have it in Brazil, but it seems like the pink livery really does something. Yeah. And I think they should consider keeping it full time.
Yeah, it definitely keeps them. It does something for them.
Yeah, Barbie energy.
Penalties galore. What the hell? Thoughts on the new race director? It was the new race director. It was his first race.
So in fairness, we have all had the first day at a new job, and I am not. And if we just said what we just said about the pendulum swinging, I am not going to
write him off
today. I mean, I think he needs at least a few seasons, and I mean, for this to be his first race with all of the stuff that was going on, that's a lot. It just is. I don't know what the training looks like for a job like this, or I don't remember where he's coming in from.
Yeah,
but I think the hardest part is that, especially because there's not a lot of consistency across the stewards from race to race. Mm-hmm. It's a wild, wild west out there.
It is,
and that's tough. So
tough.
I don't think. I think it was a really good learning opportunity on weekend number 1, and I hope that we start to see some more consistency.
Which of the ridiculous penalties was your favorite ridiculous penalty? That's a good question.
That is a good question.
I'm trying to go through all the ones that happened.
I think the drive-through one for Lewis was stupid.
Yeah, that
for
was
speeding in the pit lane when everybody else would have just gotten a 5-second penalty.
Yeah.
Quite literally anybody else that's done that has gotten a 5-second penalty.
I'm going to go Lance his penalty.
For what?
For hitting Alex.
What did he get?
10 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Just because, I don't know, it's funny.
Okay. Look at me defending Lewis.
I know. You've come so far. Okay. A lot of people were very upset about the stewards, the penalties.
Sure.
Take on Ocon's rumored departure. We kind of touched on that. Rumors of Jack replacing SD. Points for kick. Weird. Was weird, but like happy for them. Very happy for them. Now every team has scored points this season. I think that's good.
And I have to say, and I don't know if this is a fair thing to say, I'm really excited that it was Joe, because I think not everyone, but I think because of his history in the sport, people understand the kind of driver Valtteri can be in the right equipment.
Yeah.
And I just don't know that we've ever really gotten to see the opportunity for Joe to do well. So I am excited that he's the one who got the first points.
A lot of rumors that he's going to be the Ferrari reserve driver next year, which I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Keeps him in the sport.
It's so fun. He can make social content with Charles, and he could be mentored by Lewis.
Yes.
It's so good because I just don't know if Lewis is going to
be able to deliver.
No.
Yeah.
It's not that he couldn't. It's just that like he's become so desired that he gets to say no thank you.
Right. Since when do you get a 10-second stop-go penalty for not slowing down during a yellow flag? Yeah.
It's the first I've heard of it.
It's
now I don't remember double waved yellows for a while either. So I don't actually I don't know the rule book on that.
Yeah. It's pretty harsh. And I'll be curious. Obviously, as I said earlier, we're recording this pretty much right after the race. So there's still a lot left to
I'm sure Zach will be writing his
to figure out. But I'll be curious to see or hear what they all have to say about it. But yeah, definitely seemed harsh.
But agree that with you earlier, like a penalty seems like a no-brainer.
Yes,
definitely. But that penalty was crazy.
Yes, because it wasn't, as we've said, it's a 35-second penalty. It's not a 10-second penalty.
Yeah.
And that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think about Mirrorgate?
Kind of talked about it.
Yeah.
I think it's going to, genuinely, because I think what they were really trying to do was wait till there was a gap that was big enough to be able to handle it without
a safety car.
And now I think that entire team understands that if there is something that large that can shatter into that many bits on the grid, you must throw up a virtual safety car.
Yeah.
Period.
You got to do it. Yeah.
The fact that wasn't an obvious is a little,
it's got to happen right away.
Immediately.
Right away. Yeah. Especially on the track. Like if it was maybe slightly off the track or something like that, like still a risk of someone running over it, but it's literally on the track where we saw it.
I'm also curious though, because I wonder how much, I know they knew the double waved yellow was there, but like it seemed like some people could very obviously see it and were avoiding it. Like I'm surprised that it did get run over, but also it's not on the team or the drivers to avoid roadblocks. It's on the stewards to pause and get it off the field. Like if there's a streaker at a football game, you don't keep playing,
Right.
Not that a streaker and a mirror are the same, but both are revealing.
Yes.
That was deep.
Can we fire the FIA?
I have no
authority.
Capabilities, no.
Yeah, just a lot of people being pissed off about the penalties, which, we hear you, we see you.
Yeah.
We're with you in all of this. And we just have to keep holding their feet to
and the good news is, if we're this outraged, so are all the team principals and some of the drivers.
Yes.
And so there will be conversations had. So we don't need to step in. No one needs to be mean on the internet, tagging people, actual humans who have families.
Yeah.
Be kind.
Yeah.
It's the holiday season.
Show kindness. Fan and foe. Should we do that?
Yeah.
You can start.
Okay. My fan is the video that Max got for winning his 4th World Championship, and the Daniel cameo made me so excited. Not only that they asked him to do it, but that he did do it.
Yes.
And that Max seemed like really touched by that he did it.
Yes.
And I don't know how long the video is. Obviously, they kind of clipped it. And so I don't know if there was other drivers who did submit a video that we just didn't see. But I really appreciate that they kept, because it was on, I know this sounds so silly, but like it was on Red Bull's page.
Yes.
And it's leaving yourselves open for scrutiny in the comments and stuff. And so I just appreciate that they kept it in there, because it is very authentic and true to Max.
Well, and also people were like, it's interesting. I don't think it's actually that people were making this big deal about, oh my gosh, Daniel actually there was at least some communication between him and Red Bull, at least to some degree, because they got this video from him.
Right.
Which, I don't think it's like
people forever.
Yeah. But yeah, that was very sweet. Loved it.
And side note, He's probably going to be the best man or a groomsman in Josh Allen's wedding, in which we are hoping Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce will be in attendance and that they will all meet and become best friends.
The more I think about it, Taylor and Travis both liked the Josh Allen, Haley Steinfeld collab post.
Yeah.
But the more I think about it, I think they're like, Travis and Josh at least are like friendly, but I don't know that they're friend. You know, it's one of those things where like, is it a wedding invite? Nah.
But
we know
what about
that
Haley and Taylor?
I know because Haley was in like the Bad Blood music video.
So I think the invitation's coming from the bride's side.
I think they were I don't think that's not that they're not friends. I just think they're like probably have grown apart.
But they're living a very similar life now.
We'll see. Yes. They're
what I need you to do is when something like this happens and we start to manifest it is to not put up all the roadblocks that could possibly come in.
I'm just saying it's important to have to lay out all the options so that we don't get disappointed.
I think it's important to be delusional because it's
more
fun.
You just said that it's hard to be delusional.
Know.
Listen, Hannah, you get to have all of the wonderful things in your life happen for you. Max Verstappen, 4-time world champion, race wins.
You just need to pick better. And I think you put too much thought into all of it.
You actually think I thought about this? You actually think I thought about who to pick, Hannah? Are you being for real?
No.
You know that I had zero thought. Okay, so let me.
I know. Just car mechanic fell in love.
Protect myself.
I know.
I have been burned.
I hear you. I feel you.
Thank you.
I apologize.
Thank you. Anything else about your fan?
Mm-mm.
Okay, my fan is just that steak kick Sauber. Whatever, got points. I'm just happy, obviously Joe getting the points, but just the team, the mechanics, everybody involved, like that has to just be grueling. And I just hats off, snaps to you guys. You guys make the best social media content out there.
So true.
You guys don't get the credit you deserve, and I mean, you guys definitely put something in that car. Like it was a legitimately fast car. It wasn't a fluke.
Maybe it was a beaver.
What?
Maybe it was a beaver.
Oh yeah, there was a radio between Yuki and his engineer where his engineer told him that there's a mirror on the track, and Yuki thought he said beaver.
God, he's so sweet.
I was crying.
Another fan when Yuki was doing the trying to figure out who the top 5 hottest drivers were.
Yeah.
They did that in Vegas, right? That's what he was wearing in Vegas. So I don't understand why Logan was included because Logan's not a driver anymore.
I know. I don't know if it was like the people's sexy, how people did like the ranking if they're just going off of that or something. I don't actually know if that's true or not. Yuki did seem flabbergasted about Lewis being in third.
Yeah, he
was like third.
I mean,
okay.
In fairness, yeah.
Also good for him for just being like, I feel like other drivers would be like, I don't want to do this ranking.
Sure.
But he was like,
yeah, of course, I have eyes.
I'll rank them for sure. Foe?
Honestly, I'm really feeling for Lewis. It's been it's really brutal to watch.
Yeah.
And there was some Jensen and Crofty were kind of going back and forth talking about if they think that Lewis will actually race next week.
Oh, really?
Because I think at the beginning of maybe during media day, I think he's in a really weird headspace, and I think he made a throwaway comment about not even sure if he had the energy to race in Abu Dhabi.
Interesting.
And I do think that he's way stronger of a person than that, and he also knows the significance of finishing out with Mercedes. So I think he's just in a moment, and I think I would be so floored if he didn't race next weekend.
Yeah. But
I'm just really, I want him to end on a high note as best he can with Mercedes and enjoy the ride. Because part of me also thought, I was kind of laughing today of I wonder if because Mercedes has been getting a little bit better. Yeah. If he has had these thoughts of should I have not left? And he's asking for signs of why he should move to Ferrari. And boy, you just got slapped in the face with about 10 of them this weekend.
I think positive note is Charles Leclerc did finish in second this week. Yeah. Ferrari still looks quite strong, so he is going to a good solid team. Yeah. And our point about Pierre and Esteban, with Alpine is very much the same thing with Merc at I don't know to the same degree, but it's George is the guy sticking around. Yeah. So George is going to get
Yeah. And I also, Lewis is he's very in touch with his emotions.
Yeah.
And I'm totally projecting here. I have absolutely no idea. I've never met him before, but feels like someone who, when he's like sad, he gets in this very like standoffish mode, or like just it really does affect his psyche and his mentality. And I think, you know, it's the end of an era for him. He's leaving a team he's been with for a decade, and his engineer who he's worked with for forever. And I can see where it's like he, you know, he wants to end it on a good note, but also just like it is what it is at this point. Like,
Is what it is.
Anyway,
it's tough.
I know. I just hope he has a smile on his face next weekend.
Yeah, let's hope he does well next week.
And organizes the dinner.
The reality is like it sucks because you want everyone to do well on like in their final race, but obviously not everyone can do well because some people have to finish last. And it's just how it works. But definitely the drivers, you know, K-Mag, Valtteri, the drivers that are ending their time in Formula One, at least for the foreseeable future, if not forever, the drivers that are changing teams. It's tough and sad, and so I hope those people all do well. And it's just crazy. It's the last race.
I know.
Abu Dhabi also is like not the best track. Like I feel like the last handful of, I mean, obviously Abu Dhabi 2021 was.
I still need to watch.
Had a lot of drama, but I feel like in terms of actual racing, it's like not the best track for a final race. But what are you gonna do? But I am looking forward to the end of, like, I'm looking forward to, I feel like it's been a long season.
Yeah.
A lot of ups and downs, obviously an emotional roller coaster for many of us. And tears. I mean, you know, we cried on this podcast, which is why I have walls, as we've established. And, I think it's all, we all kind of need a break. We all kind of need to take a rest, to log off, put the phone down, and recharge before next season, which I think is going to be a banger of a season. I'm putting it out there. It's going to be excellent. The year before or the season before a regulation change, I think is always good. And, it's going to be great. It's going to be something. And there's still a lot kind of left, like, to figure out, and potential things that could happen post Abu Dhabi. So obviously we'll be around for that. A bit of a scheduling just to prepare people. So obviously we will do an Abu Dhabi recap episode next Monday. That will come out next Monday. Then we will do because for those who maybe weren't around or didn't listen to it, at the beginning of I think it's actually our very first episode at the start of every season, we do a predictions episode. So obviously at the end of the season, we will then go back through our predictions and see what we got right or what we got wrong, figure out who won that battle. And I believe that will probably be our last episode until January, barring anything else happening. Maybe we'll do, you know, if something crazy goes down, we'll do a bonus episode or something. But that, as of now, is the plan. We will be taking probably a month or so break of podcasting through the holidays. Hannah will be out of town. We all need a break, you know. But we'll be back late January is typically when we come back. So, you know, stay tuned for that. And yeah, anything else? Oh, we need to do our draft.
Oh, yeah.
Final draft of the year.
Wow.
Woo. Woot woot. And I'll go through and see how we all did later. Who's it gonna be?
Nico. I don't know if I can get him again.
I don't know if you can either.
It's the first time I wouldn't be bummed about it.
You wouldn't be bummed about what?
Getting Nico.
Oh, because you think he's gonna.
I don't know. Yeah. He'll do like
you got him once. You got him twice. Okay. You're done. So.
All right. Sorry about that, Neeks. Chuck.
Let's see here. I mean, we're getting to the end, so it's tough to figure out. Okay. You have him once. Twice. Nope.
Okay. No dice on that one.
Sorry. This is going to be a long one. Checo. Let's see here. I don't even know.
I don't know if I've ever
I've gotten him before. Checo. Redemption in Abu Dhabi for Chenko Clackers. Did you see that Jason Tartick was at
Yes.
Vegas?
I did.
LOL.
I know. so many people were at Vegas that I had no
I
idea.
know, same.
Have you gotten Chuck and Nico, or should I put these in?
I don't think I can get, that's a good question. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
Nico, okay, Charles. Okay, I cannot get Charles.
Okay.
I can get Nico, so you can put it back in. Mix it up.
Who's it gonna be?
This is so exciting, you guys.
It is. Riveting.
Max.
Let
me see.
We've got Red Bull.
We got Red Bull. Let me double check if I can. I don't even know if I've got Max once. I think I have, but Max.
Super Max.
Okay. I can get him.
Okay.
All right, Red Bull, let's go.
Let's go Chenko.
Let's have a 1-2 finish. Then that'll be really good. I'm just double checking because I feel
that
like
would be good for Checo's morale.
I feel like I had Max once before, but apparently I've never had him.
Oh.
Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay, so that's Abu Dhabi. Exciting times. Fun race. Enjoyed it for the chaos.
Yep.
Apologies again if there's things that have come out, post race, positions changing, penalties awarded. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And thank you all for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Enchante.